What's up guys, Joey here. So as you may know, I do a lot of tutorial and, well, not really voiceover gameplay. I don't tend to talk much in gameplay. I just like to show the performance. But I do tutorials where I talk a lot. And I wanted to share something a bit different because I've seen Reddit posts of people asking for mic advice. So they're saying like, I'm going to buy a new mic. Is this one better than that one? And there is like this, I don't know if it's what to call it really. It's a misconception that condenser mics are actually good for the average user when they are complete garbage unless you have a dedicated streaming studio. They're not good for like a real world environment where you might have animals, car noise, traffic noise, all that kind of thing within your vicinity, even just from an open window. If you're using a condenser mic, you're going to get a lot of issues with background noise ruining your audio quality. So it doesn't matter if your voice sounds really clear on the condenser. If you're picking up all this background noise, it ruins the audio quality. And I actually had like a 4,000 peso Audio Technica condenser mic that was USB. That was crap for me. And this is also just speaking from my perspective. I know they can be good under the right scenario where you've set it up properly, you've got sound dampening, you've got a fairly quiet environment. But just for real world, even if you just got kids or something, condensers suck in my experience. Even like the BM800, there are mitigations you can do. You can lower the mic volume to try to cut out some of that background noise. You can use noise gate hardware and software that will kind of filter out certain frequencies. But in terms of just buying a mic plug and play, when you're spending 3,000 pesos, you're on a budget. Condenser mics are something I will strongly advise against. If you're going to pay 3K plus for a mic, go for something like a Samson Q2U dynamic mic. That will actually help a lot with background noise without having to buy additional software, hardware, or tools. But there's actually something even better that offers miles better value than any 3K mic can give you. And that is an adapter called the Asus AI noise cancelling adapter, which is, it uses algorithms. I'm not sure if they're algorithms, but it's called AI, but it cuts out a lot of common background noises. So you can be in a fairly noisy environment, and even if your mic is average, because you're not getting all this background noise coming in, the mic, your cheap mic can sound decent. So just to give you an example, right now I'm using a 50 peso mic with the Asus AI noise cancelling adapter, and this is the mic here. I'll just show you. This mic from Shopee is exactly what I'm using. This exact mic, and you can just see the little clip. Just look at the clip for a second. Metal. It's using, I think that's TRRS, but it doesn't matter because it plugs into the mic adapter. Now this isn't the important part. You can use whatever mic you want. The important part is this adapter. It's about 1.5K, and that does sound a bit steep for an adapter, but if you just put into contrast, I'm testing it with probably the cheapest mic you can possibly buy. And I'm going to pick it up right now and show you on camera and talk into it so you can see my voice increasing as I put it closer to my mouth. And this is at about 80 volume. If there is any noise coming through on your computer, if you don't have grounding on your computer, you'll have to address that too. So, for example, if you have buzzing coming through, you're in an old house with old wiring with only two power connectors, 2-pin sockets on the wall. You need to ground your PC case to remove that interference noise. But in terms of just a cheap mic that works really well, 50 pesos versus 3,000 for a condenser that has background noise and, quite frankly, not good audio quality. So I've actually got my family making noise in the background now, and if, for example, I've also got an aircon and a ceiling fan that I can turn on, and I've got the Asus AI noise cancelling mic adapter running at the moment, so it's plugged through that pass-through, and I'll just turn on my ceiling fan so you can get an idea of the kind of noise that it blocks out, because I can turn it on and off during the video. So this is all live, like no post-editing, no noise gate software, nothing. It's just the Asus noise adapter and recording straight to ReLive, which I'm going to upload directly. So I'm not going to filter it through any programs, nothing like that. This is a raw upload that you're watching. And I'll just turn on my ceiling fan above me, so you can just see it here, how close it is. It's literally just above my head. There we go. That's the ceiling fan spinning, and it's blowing air on me right now, and I'm holding the mic. So normally, if you had a mic with air blowing into it from a ceiling fan above you, you'll get a lot of noise from that. And now I'm going to turn off the noise cancelling mic adapter. Now I can actually hear how this sounds, but I know there's a difference because I've tested it with the listen to mic option, but it's hard to talk with the mic also transmitting at the same time. So I'm just going to put this down. Like normally where I actually rest this mic is about 2 to 3 feet away on my keyboard. I sit it near the number pad. I don't even touch it. So I put it like that, just, so you can see the distance here. It's just on my keyboard. So you can actually see it's right there. Bit dusty. And now we'll turn the mic adapter off, and you can see how much background noise this thing's actually cutting out. So for 1.5K and a 50 peso mic. So it's on, you can also set distances. I find even though external would be about the distance I'm actually using, I find 5 to 10 works better. The higher your background noise and the higher you set it, like for example, if you set it to high or mid, when it cuts out background noise, there can be some distortion. So it's not like perfect by any means, but in terms of overall quality, especially in a noisy environment, it easily surpasses something that's transmitting absolutely everything around you. So if I just turn it off now with this switch, you'll hear the ceiling fan. And this is how it sounds. It's still a 50 peso mic though, so you got to take that into account. You can actually adjust. I'll just show you live right now. This is one of the first things you should do if you get any mic that plugs into your 3.5mm jacks on the PC. Go to sound settings, and down at the bottom it's got more sound settings, and this is where you actually control your mic volume, recording, and it doesn't matter what mic you're using, but you go here to levels, and I've got it on 100. Adjust it down to like 80. Just as an example, and that will filter out some of that noise. Like it'll just minimize it so that your voice takes more precedence over whatever else is going on, even signal noise from your PC, because PCs do have noise depending on the quality of the motherboard, chipset, what kind of shielding they've put onto the audio, as well as grounding issues, which is common in Philippines. You'll have grounding where, 2-pin plugs. You really need a 3rd pin or a separate cable to ground either the case or the socket. You can get socket adapters that you run a wire out the window, put a ground spike into the ground a few meters deep. It sounds tedious, but you can actually do it. It's DIY possible, but it's not for safety. It's only for minimizing electrical noise. I wouldn't actually recommend anyone don't mess with your socket if you're not a qualified electrician, but the grounding adapter itself is not internal. It's just an adapter that you plug your surge strip into, and then the ground wire runs to a rod that you stick in the ground, and you clamp, it's got to be a conductive rod, and a few meters away from your wall if you're near a window, and hammer that into the ground. It's got to be fairly long. Like I would recommend minimum a meter, but 2 to 3 meters is best. So a long rod, and then you clamp it, the wire, and then that'll also ground your PC. It'll ground anything plugged into the surge protector plugged through the grounding strip. And I'll just share that too, because this is something a lot of people don't know, that you can DIY it yourself. But again, seek electrician advice is the best thing you can do. If you can actually get the socket grounded properly or the house wiring fixed, that's obviously the best case scenario. But to rewire an old house can be really expensive. And if you're just trying to improve your audio quality, this method can help, especially if you touch your PC case or USB. And this is really common in Philippines. Again, I got to stress, really common. If you plug your PC in and turn it on, or even turned off, and you touch like a USB port by accident, or you touch a metal part of your casing and you get a zap, the grounding DIY will actually completely fix that. And I've actually got my system set up on a DIY ground right now, which I've been running for a few years, and it also helps the surge protector to function better when they've got some kind of grounding pad for minor surges. So ground adapter, this is what they look like. If I just search ground adapter, it's just like this. It's a $35 Omni adapter, and this thing here where you clamp a wire onto is for the ground pin, and so this plugs into your wall, and then this ground wire you run out to a grounding rod outside your house, or if you've got something you can attach it to that's grounded, you can do it that way. Sometimes wall sockets will be mounted in such a way where there's actually a screw holding the housing of the socket that you can just attach the wire there and it grounds it, but it depends on how it's made. So if you're not sure, I would recommend not doing that and just go for like a DIY ground rod, and you can just see what it looks like. So see your surge protector plugs in there. It's basically that third thing acts as a grounding wire, and it plugs in like that. And then if you're looking at DIY ground, I'm not going to go through the fine details. You need to research this thoroughly yourself and do so at your own risk. For me, I did it, and as long as you're not messing with power, like don't do it with the surge protector plugged into it, Just attach the grounding wire first. Don't touch any of the metal parts. Don't touch the, you're just attaching a grounding wire to an adapter. You're completely safe doing that. And then you plug the adapter into the wall carefully and plug the surge protector in. As long as you're not touching any of the metal parts, you'll be fine. But again, I'm not a qualified electrician. I'm just telling you this is what you can try, or consult a qualified electrician to do it for you. That would be an even easier way. It wouldn't be that expensive to just ground a single socket or to have them set up a grounding adapter for you. And if you just want some images here, DIY ground looks a bit like this. So it's just a rod that's been hammered into the ground, and then you attach this wire from here to the grounding adapter, like so. So you need to be near a window though, or be able to put a hole in your wall at the very least. But if you're going to put a hole in your wall, you might as well ground the socket properly and replace the whole socket. But again, yeah, that's something you'd leave to a qualified expert, not yourself. So anyway, I just want to share that too. That's a bit off on a tangent, but at least you're hearing the background noise and how horrible that sounds. I wanted you to try to listen, and then if I turn this back on, how's that sound? So yeah, that's with 80 mic volume. And ReLive setting is on 69 for mic volume. Now, depending on what kind of recording or audio tools you have, usually they'll actually connect. Like, for example, if you're using Facebook, you're doing a Facebook meeting type of thing, or Skype, anything like that, it'll actually sync up with whatever mic volume set in the software. It'll sync up with Windows. But in the case of ReLive and the Windows sound, they're separate. So it's kind of weird. And then for example, when I start my recording, sometimes the Windows sound will reset to 100, and I don't know why it's doing that. That's just a personal, I think it's to do, it could even be a Windows 11 glitch, but you just have to be aware that if your sound quality is not coming through good, sometimes it's because your mic volume's done that by itself, and it adds more background noise and possible line noise, where you just need to lower it to 80 or even 70, depending on how loud it's coming through for your friends or how close you have it to your mouth. Because I have it on the desk, I need to have it 70 to 80, but if I had it up like this, close to my mouth, then I don't need to talk as loud, and it's going to come through clear. Even if I lower it down to 50, you can still hear me pretty well. So I just really wanted to share this because I've seen people wondering what kind of budget they need for a mic, and they look, and I know these are DIY, like real world home setups where they don't have a sound card, they don't have they don't have anything to pass the mic through. It's just a plug and play situation. And this adapter is basically plug and play. There's like a tiny little software package you need to download from Asus, and you install that. It's like a few megabytes, and that's this thing here. Very simple, and you just turn it on, select your distance, and select. I recommend mid or low. High, really does have a lot of distortion because it cuts out absolutely everything. But in cutting it out, it adds its own distortion, which is just as bad, because it's like it makes these weird distortion noises when it's blocking out background noise. So mid to low tend to be much better in that regard. And I'm in a fairly noisy environment, so anyway, I'll turn that ceiling fan off because it might be ruining the whole recording. And then I'll show you my noise when I just have it near my mouth with the ceiling fan off. And this is also just a test so you can see, do you even need the noise adapter? If you think this audio quality is fine, and right now my kids aren't screaming in the back, you'll hear them if they do. But if you think this audio quality is fine and you've listened to condenser mic tests on YouTube, this is a 50 peso mic just plugged into my motherboard. I'm not using any kind of sound card. So, yep, just wanted to share that, and literally 150 pesos after shipping, depending on where you are. And then you could get this mic first, test it out. If it sounds decent, you might need an adapter to get it to work with a standard port. So it depends on the port. Some ports will accept TRRS, because I'm not going to explain the types, but some ports will work perfectly fine with these 3 black lines on it, and then not all devices will. So for example, mobiles should work fine with this, but then for a PC you might need 2 pins, and that means you need a little adapter, which is another 50 pesos. And just look up TRRS adapter and it will come up what you need. But this is advertised as being PC laptop compatible, so I think it'll be fine. But I am running it through the adapter right now, and the noise adapter accepts this kind of pin layout TRS with no issues. TRRS, sorry. So I'm using a TRRS model, and TRS is just a 2-pin. Actually, 2-pin should be fine for PC. That's actually for directly plugging into the PC, and then the noise adapter will accept either one. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed that, and I'll just turn my... I really should put this as a shortcut. Like I have it pinned for all these other apps that I frequently turn on, because I test stuff, and you know. So I'm just going to turn that back on now. And also, the only reason I'm putting it near my mouth as well is just to give you an idea of the range it has when I do hold it closer to my mouth compared to putting it a few feet away at this distance. It really just depends on the tone of your voice. So if you can talk loud and clearly and you're just doing a video call, you've got the Asus AI adapter, having it further away is fine. If you don't have the adapter, like this is another budget saving, like you don't want to spend 1.5K on adapter, set the volume as low as possible, like 50. And when you open your sound settings, do this. So sound, Windows 10, more sound settings, go to recording, double click, and listen to yourself. Click the listen and apply. That'll make the mic transmit to your speakers or your thing. And then lower the volume to a point where your voice is still coming through clearly, and just put the mic closer to your mouth. And that will basically cut out background noise and prioritize your voice, because your voice is the closest thing coming through the mic. So for example, you could put it all the way down to 20. And you'd still sound fairly clear having it close to your mouth. But again, you have to have it close to your mouth. You don't get as much freedom, especially if you attach it to your shirt and you go to get up and get a drink. If you forget about it, you might actually break the mic or have it rip off your shirt. And, you know, that's not good either. But it's just to give you more options. You know, like if you want to save 1.5K and not buy this adapter, a 50 peso mic can literally perform perfectly fine for online classes and all of that. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.